Joining us tonight, Victoria Toensing, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General of the Criminal Division of the Justice Department, Joe DiGenova, former U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, founding partners of DiGenova and Toensing Law Firm. Great to have you both with us. And your reaction to what we have been waiting for, how many times has it been delayed now? 3, 4, 5?
Many months, many moons, Lou.
Your thoughts about what Michael Horowitz delivered?
Well, he didn't deliver much. He delivered some facts that we already knew, but these are really amazing facts. There's the theory in tort law. It's called res ipsa loquitur, and it means you don't have to prove negligence if the scissors are in the patient's stomach after he's sewn up. The thing speaks for itself is what the Latin is, and there is so much in here that speaks for itself that we didn't need an IG to say, oh, never mind, don't bother what's here. For example, with Carter Page, if they really thought that he was a Russian asset, they should have been, the FBI should have been briefing the Trump campaign. They did not do so.
Why didn't somebody ask that in this report? Why didn't they ask why they didn't?
I was saying that to Joe earlier, like, is that question going to be asked Wednesday when we have the hearing?
There's so many questions not being asked, and in this report, Joe, clearly not answered.
Well, here it is, 434 pages of facts, interesting facts, but the denouement, the resolution, is pretty bad because Michael Horowitz does once again what he did with Strzok and Page and the email server investigation of Hillary Clinton. He will not pull the trigger on the FBI and senior DOJ officials. He says, with a straight face, that there was a legitimate predicate to run a counterintelligence investigation against the Trump campaign and Donald Trump. And you know what that's based on? A conversation between George Papadopoulos and a former Australian ambassador, Alexander Downer. And the information that Papadopoulos gave Downer was information that was fed to Papadopoulos by a CIA spy, Joseph Mifsud. To conclude, as Horowitz does, that there was a legitimate basis for a counterintelligence investigation against the president is ludicrous. It is an embarrassment to the Department of Justice. I don't know how Horowitz can hold his head high.
Let me follow up on that, because talking about the conduct speaks for itself. Well, we've overlooked investigations like this. You know what the FBI was supposed to do? They get that information. They're supposed to go knock on George Papadopoulos' door and say, where did you get this information? How did you come about it? How do you assess it? That's how a counterintelligence investigation goes, not starting to investigate the American citizen.
Let me turn to the Attorney General's comments and get your reaction to it. The Attorney General in part said this: the Inspector General's report, if we could put that up, the Inspector General's report now makes clear that the FBI launched an intrusive investigation of a U.S. presidential campaign on the thinnest of suspicions that, in my view, were insufficient to justify the steps taken. That is, in Attorney General speak, that's condemnation by any standard. What is to follow on here? Because we've waited for this. Yep. We are now, I mean, we won World War II in under 4 years, right?
Yes.
We won a world war in less time than 4 years. And it's approaching very near that. 4 years in this absurd investigation with continuing whitewashing, delays, and rationalizations. Are we to expect more of this?
I think that Mr. Horowitz has done a grave disservice to the Department of Justice today by his really irresponsible failure to pull the trigger. Bill Barr sent a signal today along with John Durham, and John Durham's amazing statement made by a United States attorney in the middle of an investigation that basically said Horowitz doesn't know what he's talking about. I think we're looking at some pretty rough stuff by Mr. Durham coming down the pike. That's what that was about today.
I want to turn to John Durham, whom we've referenced here a couple of times. His statement today on the IG report, quote, based on the evidence collected to date, and while our investigation is ongoing, last month we advised the Inspector General that we do not agree with some of the report's conclusion as to predication and how the FBI case was opened. That goes to the beginning. It goes also to the FISA abuse. Your thoughts?
Well, pretty straightforward. God bless Mr. Durham, because he told it like it is. There must have been some really heated conversations between him and the IG over the past few months.
The purpose of making that statement.
I think he thought he had to get the message out that this could not be allowed to just go out there in the atmosphere.
Well, I want to say, amongst millions of others, I appreciate John Durham giving us hope here that this isn't the final.
You know what happened was Horowitz had no access to people at the CIA, Joseph Mifsud, any of those people, to reach the conclusion he did about the basis for the investigation without knowing about Mifsud and all those people, which Durham does. Mm-hmm. Durham felt he had to slap Horowitz right across the face publicly. That's quite embarrassing for Horowitz. That is a rebuke like I have never seen of an inspector general by a United States attorney, and well-deserved, may I say. I think Horowitz's conclusions are absolutely outrageous.
How about Mifsud's not an FBI agent? Duh.
Yeah, but he is a CIA. But he is a CIA asset.
Or Western intelligence.
Or Western intelligence.
We don't know where this asset is.
He's been in hiding.
But there's plenty of embarrassment here.
Tons.
The FISA courts. I mean, despite all of this, the judges themselves, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
These are all federal judges already confirmed, and they are appointed by the Chief Justice. I would like to know that he's called them in and set them down and asked how this happened, but I haven't heard any rumor to that effect. Seems to me the Chief Justice should do something, if not Lindsey Graham when he has his hearing.
There should not be a reauthorization of the FISA court until these judges and the Chief Justice testify in open hearings about what went wrong.
But you know what? We've watched both parties combine to extend the FISA authority through to March. Instead, they wanted to get it out, get through, quote unquote, this period, this interregnum, whatever it is. And both parties should be held accountable for that.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to hear more nonsense about surveillance at any cost, because that is not the American way. The Democrats once were a party that would say, you know, we can't do this. They were to protect the rights of privacy. They're cheering on this madness.
We got surveillance at any cost in 2016, and look what they did. They're trying still to destroy a sitting president, and it all started with illegal, unconstitutional surveillance.
And the hearings today, very quickly, the Democrats, talking earlier with Mark Meadows, this is just, it is a damn war on the part of the radical Dems against this president, trying to overthrow him. And I keep talking to Republican after Republican who thinks it's just another partisan brouhaha.
No, it's unconstitutional and it's frightening. And people ought to get more serious about this. I just even hate it when I see announcers get on the air with a cheery face. Another hearing today on impeachment. And I say, no, another hearing today on impeachment. This is bad, people.
The Democrats are subverting the Constitution and in an illegitimate set of proceedings that does not bode well for the future of our country.
And particularly when a party like the Republican Party, there is no other. So I don't know why I said like the Republican Party, the other party. Seems to be so innovated, so effete, and so directionless on Capitol Hill. It really makes you wonder what is next.
They've been better fighters than I've seen before,
I agree.
But they have not gotten a theme. They have to have a theme.
I'm going to write that down. A theme.
Yeah.
In the House, they've got
War on
one.
women.
It's called unity. In the Senate, the theme is we'll have to wait and see.
There's no theme to this
skeptical.
pudding. Somebody say that?
Well, you did, and we appreciate you for doing so. Victoria Toensing, thanks so much. Joe, thank you very much. Joe DiGenova. Why did I do it? Joe DiGenova. I'm going to say it another 10 times, but outside the reach of cameras and microphones.